Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Rock Fabulous 40s, and I have a foundation review for you guys. Well, it's kind of a foundation review, but before I jump into it, just let me say that I am going through 90 days of no heat on my hair, so you guys are going to see a lot of ponytails, a lot of French braids. If you guys have any suggestions on no heat styling, let me know, because I've got to figure out something other than ponytails and buns and braids. It's just, it gets old. So let me know what your suggestions are in the comments down below. Also, I just finished filming a Wet n Wild Unicorn Glow review. So my face is like really glowy at the moment, which I know is kind of weird for a foundation review, but in my foundation review, you guys will see a demo of me applying the foundation, so you'll know how it applies and what it looks like without all this glow stuff going on here, because I know right now I look kind of crazy. But it's just makeup. It washes off. Anyway, so the foundation that I am talking about today is the Neutrogena Hydra Boost Hydrating Tint. And I know this has been out for a little while now. The one that I picked up is in the color Honey, number 85. Okay, so this foundation, or the Hydra Boost Hydrating Tint as it is called, comes in 10 shades, and it goes from really pretty fair to pretty deep. So, I mean, it's a decent amount of shades that you have for this foundation. It was also $14.99, which in my opinion is a little pricey for a drugstore foundation, but most of your drugstore stuff is getting up there in price anyway. So if you guys are interested in this, you can find it on sale when Ulta does their buy one get one half off things. You can also use your $3.50 off coupon. Neutrogena's always got coupons in the papers, so I mean you can always catch it on sales and use coupons so you can get it a little bit less expensive than $14.99. Alright, so what Neutrogena says about this foundation, and just so you guys know, all of Neutrogena products are pretty much dermatologist tested, so they're not supposed to be bad for sensitive skin or acne prone skin. They're supposed to be non-comedogenic. Just throwing that in there for just in case you didn't know that. Alright, so Neutrogena says that this applies flawlessly while instantly quenching skin. It leaves skin hydrated so it looks smooth and fresh all day. This foundation moisturizes and plumps skin for 24 hours. So it claims for 24 hours, not up to 24 hours. It actually says for 24 hours. It contains hyaluronic acid. It improves suppleness over time. It is oil-free and non-comedogenic, and it says that it does not settle into fine lines. So this is the bottle right here. And it's a nice glass bottle. It's pretty substantial feeling. You open it up and it's got a doe foot applicator. Okay, so this actually kind of reminds me of the foundation that Clinique came out with a couple of years back, the Perfect in Coverage or Foundation Conceal or something like that, but it had a doe foot applicator, and it was said to be a very high coverage, could use it as concealer type foundation. I don't find that to be the case with this guy. This guy has a very sheer to light coverage. So when I think of coverage with this guy, I think of in between what you would think a BB cream would be and a CC cream would be. So you have your very low end, I don't want to say low end, that doesn't sound right. You have your very sheer coverage of your BB cream or tinted moisturizer over here to your more coverage CC cream and color corrector over here. This is going to be like right in the middle, okay? So it's a very light to very light medium coverage. You're not going to get a whole lot of coverage out of this. It does even out the skin tone. It does do some color correction, but if you have any imperfections, you will have to use concealer to conceal those, because this will not conceal your pimples. You'll notice it has not concealed my hyperpigmentation. It has diminished it a little bit, but it hasn't concealed it. There's not really a whole lot out there that does, but anyway. So yeah, very light coverage. I find that when I apply it, if I apply it with a brush, I get better coverage than if I use a sponge. The application, now this is where it gets kind of weird. The application is a little bit better with the sponge because it just kind of presses it into the skin. The brush kind of pushes it around. It takes a little bit more work to get it blended in, but the coverage is better. So I find that when I use my Moda prismatic brushes, like my paddle brush, I find I get better coverage than if I use just one of my regular like blending brushes, like one of my, oh, I can't even think of the name. I have a couple from e.l.f. I have some Real Techniques, actual blending and buffing brushes. I find that I get better coverage when I actually use my paddle brush with it. And I find that it looks a lot smoother when I use that brush as well. I find that I don't feel this on my skin at all when I wear it. Okay, it does take it some time to dry down and not feel tacky, because it does tend to stay tacky feeling for quite some time. I did set with just a little tiny bit of powder, and that did help, but I don't feel it on the skin. I don't see it in my pores, and I don't see it migrating into my fine lines. It doesn't matter which technique I use to apply. I can use a primer or not use a primer. It doesn't settle into those fine lines. I think that it makes my skin look very skin-like, and that is one of the things that I really find that I really love about this foundation. I know I keep looking down, but I'm looking at my notes here. It does feel hydrating without it feeling greasy. I'm kind of a dry skin kind of person right now. I mean, my skin kind of fluctuates from dry to oily, and right now I'm kind of dry. I have a couple of little dry patches here and there. It doesn't stick to any of my dry patches. It doesn't make me greasy or oily throughout the day. It doesn't cake up. But if you are an oily skinned person, you might not like this, because it is a very dewy type finish. It does still feel just a little bit, it takes it a little bit for that tagginess to wear down. And if you're really oily, those oils are going to break through this, I think, pretty quickly. I do find that the wear time on this is not, I don't get a full day's wear time, I'll put it that way. So if I put it on in the morning before I go to work, within 6 hours I look in the mirror and I can see it's already breaking down. But the nice thing about it is it breaks down very gracefully. And what I mean by that is, a lot of foundations, when they start to break down, you start to see patches, or you start to see areas where you can see it just kind of breaking apart. This doesn't do that. It breaks down very gracefully. So when it starts to break down, you're not seeing patchiness. You're not seeing splotches everywhere. It just kind of, I want to say, fades, if that makes sense. So you don't look weird with splotchy skin. I mean, it just kind of fades really gracefully. I don't know how else to put that. I honestly don't know if I would agree with 24-hour hydration. I use a ton of moisturizer anyway, so I wouldn't even be able to, I guess, tell that. It's really, I don't know. I myself don't notice 24-hour hydration. I'm not saying that nobody does. I just don't notice it. But I do notice that I like the way it looks on my skin. It makes my skin look very skin-like. It doesn't cake up, and I can apply layer upon layer and it doesn't cake up. It is a very natural coverage. That's good. Natural coverage. So light to very light medium. And it doesn't migrate into the fine lines and pores, which in my book, that is a huge thumbs up. I feel that this is going to be great for those no makeup days. I know that some people might have concerns about the little doe foot applicator here, about taking the doe foot and just applying it to the skin and then putting it back in the jar. Honestly, guys, I mean, if you think about it, how is that any different than using a concealer wand and swiping concealer on your face and putting it back in the concealer tube? It's not any different. So I'm not too concerned with the little wand growing bacteria. I mean, it's only on my face and it's touching clean skin, so I'm not too terribly worried about that. Alright guys, so my overall opinion of this foundation is I like it. Am I going to continue to use it? Yeah, I mean, it works great. Like I said, for my no makeup days, it wears off gracefully. I don't feel it. That is one of the biggest things. I don't feel it, and it looks natural. So yeah, I like it. I will continue to wear it. Alright guys, so I hope you guys found this video somewhat interesting, entertaining, something informative. If you did, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Also guys, you can look me up on my website at www.rockfabulousonline.com. You can look me up on Pinterest. Tumblr, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all under Rock Fabulous 40s. And guys, remember to hit subscribe down there somewhere. And if you want notifications, hit the little bell that's down there somewhere too. And you too can rock your fabulous 40s. And I'll see you next time. Bye guys.